Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okey, kami daripada kumpulan pertama akan membincangkan tentang Guideline Fire Protection and Security System in Childcare Center. Okey, saya AMIRUL HAFIZI bersama dengan ahli kumpulan saya iaitu ASYRAFFIQH, AIZAT HAMSYARI, HIDAYAT ASYRAF, MOHAMMAD SYAFWAN, MOHAMMAD IQMAL ARIF dan juga MOHAMMAD SYAHMI EZRY.
Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera. My name is MOHD SYAFWAN bin IBRAHIM. My matric number is CN210234. Today I will present about the introduction of fire protection and security system for childcare center. First, safety and security are top priorities in the building design process. The structure should provide enough protection for its user as well as the goods and equipment present. There are two types of fire protection system, which are active and passive. When we move to what is childcare center, the need for childcare center to care for their children continues to rise. Daycare center is defined as any location where 4 or more children from a family are accepted to be cared for charge. This center is divided into two categories, which are home-based center and institutional center. Why childcare center is needed? Because the early years of a child are known to be the time when they learn the most, grow the fastest, and develop the most. So, in order to build a child care system that provide protective, comfortable condition, the developers and organization are needed to follow the law and policies on child care that have been set up by a government, which are contained Child Care Center Act 1984, Child Care Center Institution-Based Regulations 1985, Care Center Act 1993, Child Act 2001, and Child Protection Policy 2009. This act need to be followed by the developer in order to provide comfortable condition for the child.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is HIDAYAT bin KAMRAJAN. So about the literature review, I will explain about the childcare center safety research. So children evacuation in this case of the fire is crucial aspect of the research into childcare center. This involves research into actual evacuation, such as the time it takes to escape and the behavior of children and workers during the evacuation. Firstly is improving the fire safety knowledge and practice produced by New Zealand Council for Education Research. So learning orientation is frequently insufficient, especially in the very young. The caregiver should be prioritized over the children when it comes to child care safety. The following are the three main messages for caregiver. Firstly is keep an eye on the kid at all time. Beware of the danger of fire to youngster. And lastly is remove any potential environmental risk such as matches and lighters. Next is study of children evacuation from preschool education insertion, written by Krosnivkov, Fire and Material. So he's found out that the majority of the youngsters are then evacuated without the assistance of the teacher. The reason for this is the failure to take the required fire system precaution.
Summary of Children's Center Safety Research. The conclusion that can be drawn from these studies is that a rational basis for fire design is commonly employed based on testing and assessment of actual behaviors like egress time. According to the research, Child evacuation times are much longer than adult-only occupancies, and transit downstairs varies between 0.1 and 0.9 meters per second, depending on the age of the children. Slower speeds are intended for very young children who are not yet capable of going downstairs and who will require adult assistance for the majority of the descent. There was no information on the speeds of adults carrying children, but they are likely to be similar to those of older children walking 4 to 5 years. Children's pre-movement times are also longer than adults, since supervisors must organize the kids and ease any worries they may have. What level of safety is built into the actual solution is unknown. Calculating it is challenging in any situation because a combination of metrics is required. FRR of component, sprinklers, 2 escape routes, and places of safety. Thank you.
Alright, so for the next slide, I will explain about fire prevention equipment. So there are some of the fire prevention equipment that needs to be on the premise of the childcare center, which are the first is sprinkler system. So for this system, the purpose of the sprinkler system in childcare center is to detect and control of childcare center if the fire suddenly occurs, and thus provides improved protection against injury, life loss, and property damage. Okay, next, the second system is fire extinguisher. So in childcare center, the most frequent fire extinguisher used are water fire extinguisher, which work by removing heat from the fire, and dry powder fire extinguisher either foam or dry powder tanks that use pressurized nitrogen as the fuel. They work by smothering the fire. And the third system is smoke detector. In the guideline of a childcare center, a smoke detector is one of the most important pieces of equipment to have in order to detect a fire. The smoke detector system should be installed in the sleeping accommodation area of a childcare center that is less than 230 square meter in size on any level and more than 230 square meter in area on any floor. An additional requirement is that the system be connected to the fire services communication center through a direct telephone connection. Furthermore, all fire service installation control panels must be located in the reception area or near the center's main entrance.
Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is HAMSYARI bin ADZMI. Now I will present about fire prevention, training and control procedures. Preventing fire is just as critical as having correctly functioning fire protection measures in the case of a fire. The primary goal is to create an operational environment that discourages fire from developing in the first place. If a fire does start, the objective is to keep it from spreading beyond a minor incident. There are three common things in fire prevention, training and control procedure. Firstly, risk assessment. Next, fire prevention, and lastly, fire safety training. Okay, risk assessment. Fire protection begins with risk assessment and recording in a risk register. Next, examine and assess the likely causes and spread of a fire, the potential effects, and available risk reduction strategies. This covers hazards related to routine building and maintenance work and those associated with the installation of new equipment or the adoption of new or changing technology. Alright, for fire prevention, firstly, smoking is one of the greatest fire risks and it should be prohibited in all buildings and workplaces. Where there is no legal prohibition, smoking should only be allowed in designated smoking areas, and fire-safe ashtrays and bins should be provided. Next, enforce good housekeeping practices. This include implementing routines for the regular removal and disposal of waste. Next, establish and maintain out-of-hours inspection and security procedures, including means of preventing arson. Carry out routine checks, inspection and tests, including monitoring the maintenance of heat generating equipment that could cause fire. chafing of cable, self-heating of cable due to electrical resistance, and checks on fuel supplies and storage. Issue and control work permits and associated procedures, and then instruct and supervise contractor and subcontractor carrying out construction and maintenance operation within the building. Avoid conditions leading to gas and dust explosion hazards, and lastly maintain integration with other systems, for example ventilation or communication. And lastly, for fire safety training, all staff should receive fire safety training from a qualified instructor familiar with efficient teaching approaches. If the organization lacks the necessary experience, an outside specialist such as a firefighter should be hired for the training. All staff, including a part-timer staff, security staff, cleaning staff and contractor, should be trained and instructed in risk awareness, smoking policy, basic fire prevention, good housekeeping, the fire routine, and lastly incident reporting procedures, including for near-miss events and false alarm. A no-blame reporting culture should be encouraged.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. I'm Muhammad bin JAMAL. I will talk about the discussion. Okay, firstly, we have to make sure that care center for children are always in the safe condition. We suggest that every care center is improving their fire safety, and they must taught the children how to react and handle if there is any fire have been sparked. Okay, also they must prepare and show the children about the exit road if the care center is getting fire. Then exit should be clearly marked with emergency sign, like the mall, the exit sign, and they should be free from any obstruction that would make it difficult for the children to exit quickly and safely. So make sure the walk path is clear and tidy lah. Okay, the fire fighting equipment should be properly maintained and inspect in each year. And other than that, the smoke detector and alarm must be checked frequently to avoid any circumstance. Okay, except for the car center, every house in this world should be focused on the fire safety. It prevents the children to get hurt and death.
Assalamualaikum, my name is ASYRAF bin IQBAL, metric number CN190188, and I will be presenting about the conclusion. As part of a building's safety plan, it is critical to have a fire protection system in place. Without a fire protection system, those inside the building face a high risk of death in the event of an emergency. The recommended system for use, such as fire alarm systems, sprinkler systems, fire pumps, and smoke control systems, take some action to notify of the fire and smoke conditions, help slow the growth of the fire, or help put out the fire entirely. In terms of life safety and fire safety, childcare centers are not inherently dangerous places. When a fire does occur, it is a traumatic event in the life of a childcare center, especially if it is the result of arson, as well as costly and time-consuming for those involved. Childcare centers are encouraged to manage their schools in a fire-safe manner and to develop emergency management plans in the event of a fire or other emergency, following the measures outlined in this guideline and preparing an evacuation plan in accordance with the UBBL standards will ensure that the childcare center remains a safe place for staff and students. The issue of registration necessitates further investigation. One of the issues that needs to be addressed by laws and regulation is the problem of illegal childcare centers, hiring unqualified childcare providers. The improved version of the laws is not only intended to be a reactive tool that provides remedies, but it should also include preventive measures to prevent undesirable events from recurring in the future. The definition of childcare must also be broadened in order to ensure the safety and education of more children placed in non-parental care. And that's all from us. Thank you.